Cross the river with a barge man, dressed in his rusty horse, and his eyes are heroes unspoken.
Hey everyone, welcome to Being Heard. I'm Thorald, this is Isaac. Today's conversation is belonging.
Yeah, I mean, we can never take it for granted that we spend every day together, right? But it wasn't always like that. In fact, I remember when I was 19, I had my rock bottom, a moment of depression and physical ill health that started in isolation. It was triggered by everyone leaving. Mum had moved to New York, left the family. You'd moved to New York, and I moved into this apartment on my own.
Yeah,
It was our first voice moment was in that apartment. Do you remember it?
yeah.
And I was living there alone, and for about 6 months, going to university, studying something I didn't love, but it was this isolation that started. It was like a frost. It was like chilling.
Did you have a keyboard in the closet? I can't remember those.
Yeah,
that
I had
real?
a keyboard in the closet, but the isolation was, it started to shut down my voice, my expression, and then my body. And it led to just a feeling of depression that I couldn't easily shake until I reclaimed my voice and my health. But yeah, I studies from 2020 show this shocking research that belonging and it increases our health markers, our inflammation, and our longevity, cardiovascular disease. We're just not built for being alone and functioning in an isolation, physically isolated. And, I guess experiences like COVID, for example, gave more of us a real experience of that. But we were lucky, even during COVID, we would sometimes in masks be in the same space. But I noticed that there was a health effect on me mentally, emotionally, and physically from even that experience, just from the isolation.
Yeah.
And so, this month we're talking about belonging as it pertains to the voice.
Yeah.
And the voice is this kind of homing, like this, home signal that gets sent out that says, I'm here, resonate with me, connect with me. And the voice is that sympathetic vibrational tool that allows us to be in coherence with somebody, communion with somebody, collaboration with somebody, and in deep connection with them.
And this goes beyond or before singing, right? You see that, look at everyone's studying the blue zones or what makes people live to 100, etc. Old age, I like to see it more as like older and still functioning and satisfied and happy rather than a number. Like people that live a long time and stay vital have this social emotional connection piece. And it looks a lot like they have a village, a community that invites them, that needs them, that requests them, that they're a part of. They're a valuable voice in the community, whether it be card games or dinners or church or
sing-alongs,
whatever it is. Even before singing though, it's still about voice, about coming out, being seen, heard, reflected back. And then you bring in voice, you bring in singing, and then you think about what circle singing, what community singing, choirs, the invitation, what Jacob Collier is doing to rooms of people, what it feels like to go to, I imagine, even if you're a Taylor Swift fan, would go to like sing your heart out at some stadium with everyone. That voice in any form creates that social emotional connection where people feel like A, they belong, B, it's worth standing up and living for something. And it's happening at the biological level.
Yeah, I mean, neurochemicals of oxytocin, for example, that internal drug that's created in the brain when we feel connected, when we feel safe, we're down-regulated and connected and supported. You know, you love that term. I feel like it's something that we all need to feel.
Yeah.
And don't always get to feel. Specifically, certainly at times, we all have felt that unsupported feeling.
If we broke down what it feels like to be unsupported in a voice perspective, to us, it definitely seems like to be not heard, right? To go to speak up for something and for it to be wronged or dismissed or
shamed.
Yeah, sure. Or to feel unseen, unheard, and certainly not reflected back. And what we're seeing on a daily basis when we do courses, programs, journeys with people, the power of being seen, heard, and reflected back, quite literally in song. And a lot of people we work with, let's say in the songwriter's journey, they have no even dream or practical dream of being an artist or a recording artist a full-time career or an aspiration to end up on big playlists and have big audiences. Their actual aim and desire to come home and use voice music song as a vehicle is just purely to get to know themselves, to come home to themselves,
to belong to themselves.
And we watch this thing that happens. We don't always show it on videos. Sometimes we film it, of someone hearing their voice back in an original recording, an original song for the first time. It's coming off of these speakers in this room we're sitting in, and there's something that's happening to them real time for the first time.
Yeah, they're meeting themselves as they are in their highest form of voice, and it goes past all of the small voices that go off and say you're not good enough, you're not worthy, it's got to be perfect, and they hear themselves in a way. It's hard to hear ourselves until we are reflected back. It's very hard to hear ourselves. A voice note or something like that often doesn't do it justice. In fact, we kind of go, oh, that's not how I sound, right? But when we record ourselves properly and really come from an embodied voice, we get to hear ourselves back in that way that we want to belong to it, that we want to claim that as ourselves, And I think in terms of belonging, there's a lot of talk about belonging to others and belonging to tribe and belonging to a group, which is important for health and otherwise. And the voice is clearly a part of that, of our connection to others.
Yeah.
But what I think gets overlooked and is very relevant to, why we spend every day together, is that what's overlooked is the belonging to self.
Oh yeah.
How do we first take that step inward and say, I belong here. I don't need to belong. I can't belong truly to others and feel that connection to others if I haven't first given that belonging to myself, to self, from self.
Yeah, I would like to take it further and say, how can we belong to or with others if we aren't already in relationship to belonging to ourselves? Otherwise, we fall prey and victim to pleasing others, to looking around at the world and saying, well, what should I belong to? Keeping up with others, chasing the tail of success, money, power, fame, the virus of cool, what's in right now, how do I fit in? As soon as we leave the pursuit of belonging to ourselves as a first port of call, the world is so ready to just like gobble us up, right? And I feel like in so many ways, I'll speak for myself, like I sort of strangely and willingly spent some years chasing the tail of the entertainment industry. Even though I knew that you and I started as this original band called The Kin, We started harmonizing early together. These naturally conscious music lyrics and these, dead-on harmonies and melodic chords were natural for us, and these stories we would write, and it was quite an original sound, really. And then we said, okay, that's cool, but how do we fit the market? And then we consciously went, well, let's figure out how to fit the market as best we can. And we'd try it here and there and then return to our original sound. There's definitely some years, especially as we got signed to a major label, where I was like truly saying, how do we get as close to fitting as possible? And if I'm being completely honest, we were trying to project ourselves upon the screen of the world rather than come home to what was us and just amplify that. And we would amplify it, but there was a part of me still projecting
or not belonging to
and
self.
not belonging fully to self. I was still going, yeah, but how do I fit? And I think that's the massive opportunity here, if you're hearing this conversation, is what would it mean to fully risk your life on coming home to self, and then coming home to that and belonging to self, then you amplify what is.
And, what artist, since we're talking about the voice mainly, what artist do you know that has a big part of your musical life, has a big place in your musical life, one of your favorite artists? Think of them.
I gotta step in here.
You
I'm
gonna say
interrupting the
something?
podcast.
This is
And
James
the ironic thing of what you just said about fitting in is you were loved and accepted the most by the audience when you weren't trying to fit in, and you guys were just yourselves. That's what the audience grabbed onto when you were authentic.
Right.
When you were not authentic and you tried to slide yourself in, you fell flat.
And this is James St. Vincent. He was our tour manager. He saw it all.
I just needed to say something.
That's
because
how he has the right to say anything about it.
I love
because
that. You
he
witnessed
saw it firsthand.
more shows than anyone that ever has before. We need to get this man a mic next time. We bring up such a potent conversation around our history. That is true, and I have no regrets. And I would not waste another second on the projection again. And if you are finding yourself around your voice, around your singing voice or your speaking voice, or just your expression and creativity right now, looking out into the world saying, well, how should I be in my expression creativity? Take this moment to reorient your boat back home, because the greatest artist living inside you, the greatest voice, the greatest impact you're ever going to have is being yourself. How do we amplify that? So how do we belong first to self and then look around at the world? And maybe this is the greatest time ever to, with the use of the internet and, with some courage, find other people that light you up, that amplify who you really are. But it has to start with belonging to self first, and you need not waste any more time.
That's it. As you are. As you were.
Well, this has been Being Heard. I'm Thorald. That's James, who just joined us. This is Isaac.
Thanks for listening.